Welcome to Kaleidoscope. Let's talk. Today, the 21st of March, is World Down Syndrome Day. And this year, the call is to end the stereotypes. Research shows that a person with Down syndrome is born with an extra, partial, or whole copy of chromosome 21. The United Nations says the estimated incidences of Down syndrome is between 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 1,100 live births worldwide. And every year, approximately 3,000 to 5,000 children are born with it. And throughout the world, we see people with Down syndrome living life and loving life. Just like Teruni Thalgodapitiya here, who is quite a leader at the Joseph de Saram Foundation. Teruni, when you get up in the morning and from the time you go to sleep, what is a day like for you?
I get up at 8:30 and come to school. I do in admin and join workshop. After that, I win lunch, listen to songs, that's all.
What is the best thing about your job?
Best thing is workshop, giving ideas for Praveena and Janaki.
How does the family and the school support you?
Only my family very positive, like traveling, going holidays, relaxing.
Praveena Joseph de Saram is the MD of the foundation, and what better way to find out more about Down syndrome than from her, given that she and her team work with people with Down syndrome day in and day out. Welcome, Praveena. Good to have you on the show. Can you tell me a little bit about Down syndrome in Sri Lanka?
In Sri Lanka, there are specific challenges more to do with a lack of awareness about the condition and the difficulties families and people with Down syndrome face. Sri Lanka is obviously a very kind culture. That's something we take pride in. But when the awareness piece is missing, you don't know how to be kind, how to sort of imagine yourself in that family's shoes. So that's where we feel there is a gap in Sri Lanka. And this, of course, leads to all sorts of things, from the lack of support for families to the vagueness of legislation, which is, in other countries, something that drives the movement forward.
What have been your rewarding moments while working at the foundation?
We are focusing more on sort of the experience beyond school, so providing opportunities for the rest of their lives. And one of the loveliest moments is when they received their first stipend. They were able to go out, buy something for their mothers, their family, or just for themselves, and bring it back and say, I bought this with my stipend. And it was just like fantastic. And then, of course, just working together, they have a feeling of contributing to something that matters to them. Obviously, this is their institution, right? They are a part of them, and just the joy that brings, it's palpable.
What lessons have you learned?
Obviously, there are a lot of schools and some parts of the government sector also that cater to the younger children, the school-age children. But then once you reach an older age, the rest of life is really not catered for, be it just the social opportunities, any other kind of enrichment. And obviously, the thing that all of us get meaning from, making a valuable contribution, that has a very strong psychological impact on anyone's life. And we are trying to cater to that, and that's the lesson that we have actually learned over the years.
How is Sri Lanka faring with the inclusion?
In terms of various bills and acts, there is wording that supports inclusion. I think from 1988, there is a bill that talks about the public sector providing 3% of employment, the opportunities that they have to people with disabilities. But I think everyone knows that has not been met. And when it comes to people with intellectual disability, the specific problem still remains the lack of understanding of what is an intellectual disability, because there are opportunities for blind people, for people with hearing impairment, but working with people with intellectual disability like Down syndrome is a little bit of a different process. You need a little bit more understanding. Society has some stigmas associated with people with particularly intellectual disability, and some fears because of the lack of understanding. So that's what really stands in the way of real inclusion.
What misconceptions are there about people with Down syndrome?
One of the biggest misconceptions is that they are all a homogeneous population with very limited ability. That is really not the case. Here you have seen people do all sorts of things. Varsha, she's like a tie-dye machine. She can get it done faster than probably I can or anybody else here. Teruni, she gives me tips on how I should run my life daily, and they are quite valuable ones. Once I made the mistake of not taking a notebook to a meeting with her, and I still regret it because she gave me product ideas, and I'm like, I don't remember it anymore, right? So I think just looking at a person with Down syndrome and just seeing that tag and not their potential is one of the misconceptions.
What kind of support do people with Down syndrome need from their families?
I think what they need is understanding that they have the potential to be independent and facilitating that process as much as possible. And, there are intrinsic abilities people are born with, but also a lot of where they reach eventually is to do with the stimulation that they receive, the opportunities they receive. We sometimes have people who come to us without having learned very many functional skills, and they're already like 25. That makes it very difficult for us to set them on a path to independence, but they can earn wages, they can be independent, they can participate in many aspects of life that we participate in, and that is something that they need. They are really just like you and I. They have hopes, they have dreams, they have goals. So when you don't facilitate those goals or those dreams in some way, they end up feeling depressed.
What have the people you have been interacting with, people with Down syndrome here in the foundation also, what have they been telling you about their negative experiences?
We have this sad story about a mom who was saying she was walking on the road with her child and someone passed her by and they stopped, turned around and came and told them what a misfortune this is and how, they need to work through this by themselves. And the mother was just heartbroken just because someone stopped and came back, right? And then another thing we hear often is that because again of the lack of understanding, there is a fear. Sometimes people think these conditions are contagious, which they are absolutely not. And we had a grandmother who is the only carer for an adult person, and she was saying when this child with disability was born, all of their support networks slowly fell away. We were trying to ask her, do you have anyone to help you because you're getting older? And she was like, no, our friends and our family, they fell away. I have a few neighbors who pitch in once in a while, and that just it broke our hearts to hear that.
What does the rest of the world need to know about persons with Down syndrome?
They are a really valuable resource. Our colleagues like Varsha, Teruni, Dilshan, they deserve respect, they deserve opportunities, they deserve the opportunity to contribute to society and be included in pretty much all aspects because they do have the capacity to participate. And, we love working with them. They're our friends. We hang out just like we hang out with, colleagues in another setting. And, the joy that they bring to the workplace is just amazing.
Is there enough done by corporates to include persons with Down syndrome into their teams?
We are in a really special moment in Sri Lanka because we do a lot of outreach to go and take our message about the abilities of people with intellectual disability, but we have also had people reach out to us, which is really exciting and really new. There are mandates from the top sometimes to include people with special needs, especially even include intellectual disability, and we are really excited to be able to actually show them how it can be done because we've had some pilot projects that have been really successful, and we have a number of lessons learned and best practices that we can help people with if they're genuinely interested in making the investment in including people with intellectual disability.
What is your favorite part about working with persons with Down syndrome?
We have always found them to be a particularly joyful group of people. I love walking in here and being greeted by my friends, and I've known a lot of them since my mother founded this place, so I've grown up with some of my colleagues. and it's just a joyous place to be, and their attitude towards life is just one of happiness.
So here's hoping for more understanding.
Yes, thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe, follow and like us. Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.